Welcome to this explainer. You know, when most people hear the word cybersecurity, their minds immediately jump to the same classic image, right? A dark room, glowing green code scrolling down a screen, and some lone hacker in a hoodie furiously typing away at a keyboard. Well, let's dive into this. Because while that makes for a really great Hollywood movie, the day-to-day reality of actually keeping an organization secure looks remarkably different.
So let me ask you, do you think cybersecurity is entirely about writing code, configuring firewalls, and running penetration tests? If you do, you are definitely not alone. It's a massive, massive misconception. The truth is, one of the most critical challenges in the entire cybersecurity industry today isn't actually a technical problem at all. It's a communication gap. Think about it. We've got brilliant engineers building incredibly secure systems on one side, and then business leaders trying to manage budgets and overall risk on the other. The problem, they're speaking two entirely different languages.
And that brings us to a really critical truth, which is perfectly captured by a common industry saying. GRC is fundamentally a communication and influence role that happens to live inside cybersecurity. GRC, which stands for Governance, Risk, and Compliance, is fascinating because these analysts are the ultimate relationship managers. They're the essential folks who step right into the void between the server room and the boardroom.
Section 1, the Cybersecurity Translator, Bridging the Gap.
Okay, so here is the core of the problem. It's a stark contrast in vocabulary. When you talk to engineering teams, they are living in the weeds of technical rules, auditor demands, and specific vulnerabilities like CVEs. And let me tell you, if you march up to a developer and just say, hey, do this because the auditor said so, you're going to get immediate pushback. But on the flip side, executives, they don't care about the technical weeds. They need to hear about business impact. They care about cost, strategic implications, and bottom-line financial risk. So the GRC analyst steps in, takes that highly technical reality, and translates it into the dollars and cents business language that executives actually need to make big decisions.
Let's formally define what this role actually is. Governance, risk, and compliance is a highly strategic field sitting squarely at the intersection of technology, business operations, legal requirements, and human communication. It's the critical glue that aligns the hard engineering reality of a company with its overarching business goals. Basically, it's about making sure the company is secure, legally compliant, and actually able to, function and grow without grinding to a halt.
Section 2, Managing Internal Security, the SOC 2 Battleground.
To understand how this translation works in the real world, let's look at SOC 2. It is basically the gold standard framework for SaaS and cloud companies, and managing an audit for it is a massive undertaking. Analysts are responsible for the whole shebang. They collect evidence, like system logs and configurations, and map those to specific security controls. They act as the primary liaison, standing between the company's engineers and the external auditors. They run pre-audit gap assessments to catch any glaring vulnerabilities before the official audit begins, and they write the actual security policies that govern how the organization operates. All right, massive people skills alert right here. This is absolutely not a solo, heads-down type of job. You will constantly, and I mean constantly, be negotiating evidence deadlines with engineers. You have to explain control requirements to developers whose primary job is building exciting new product features, not doing compliance checklists. It takes an incredible amount of diplomacy to convince a stressed-out, time-pressed developer to prioritize a boring security control over their major product launch. You are constantly negotiating and influencing people over whom you have zero direct authority.
Section 3, Negotiating External Risk, Third-Party Risk Management, or TPRM. Listen, your organization is only as secure as the weakest vendor it does business with. So how exactly do you evaluate an outside partner? Well, it takes a highly structured process. First up, analysts review complex vendor security questionnaires. Next, they evaluate the vendor's own SOC 2 reports and penetration testing results. Third, they sit down with the legal team to review contracts, specifically hunting for data processing agreements. And finally, they continuously monitor for any vendor breach disclosures using threat intelligence tools. And yep, you guessed it, another major people skills alert. Third-party risk is fundamentally about relationship management. You'll need to ask these external vendors some pretty tough questions, but do it diplomatically. And honestly, the internal pushback can be even harder. Imagine having to tell your own procurement team or a VP of sales that they have to hit the brakes on onboarding a critical new software tool just because the security posture isn't up to par.
You have to be incredibly persuasive to manage that risk without totally destroying your internal business relationships. Section 4, the communication playbook, translating the alphabet soup. Now, to do all this translation and negotiation, analysts need a playbook. I know it looks incredibly intimidating, like a giant bowl of alphabet soup, but these frameworks are literally the baseline languages of cybersecurity. You've got SOC 2 for cloud companies, NIST CSF, which beautifully organizes security into identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. There's ISO 27001 for international standards, PCI DSS if you're anywhere near credit card data, and GDPR or CCPA for global privacy regulations. A good GRC analyst has to be fluent across all these different dialects, depending on their specific industry and region. And this brings us to a massive insider secret of the trade, cross-framework mapping. The best, most senior analysts out there, they don't just memorize isolated rules in a vacuum. They map them together. For example, a specific access control in SOC 2 maps directly over to an equivalent control in NIST, and another one in ISO. This cross-framework thinking is a real game changer. It allows the analyst to build a cohesive, unified security narrative instead of starting from scratch every single time an audit rolls around.
Section 5. Why choose GRC? The value of translation.
Let's pivot to why this is such an amazing career path. First off, we need to bust a huge myth. You do not need to be a deep, hands-on technical expert to work in cybersecurity. Now, don't get me wrong, you absolutely need to understand concepts. You need to know how cloud environments work, network basics, access controls, and encryption. You have to know the theory. But, and this is absolutely crucial, you do not need to write the code, conduct the penetration tests, or manually configure the firewalls yourself. It is entirely about conceptual understanding, not hands-on implementation. Because this unique ability to translate tech into business and negotiate effectively is so incredibly rare, it is wildly valuable to the business. To put that into perspective, just look at the financial trajectory in the US market. Even entry-level analysts command really strong salaries, starting around 65 to 85K. And as you scale up to a senior analyst, a director, or eventually a chief information security officer, a CISO, the compensation easily clears $200,000 to $400,000. It perfectly reflects the massive strategic impact you're having on protecting the company's bottom line. But hey, it's not just about the money. The lifestyle and strategic benefits of GRC are just fantastic. Unlike incident response teams who are burning the midnight oil, GRC usually means predictable hours, no grueling 24/7 on-call nightmare. You also get direct visibility to executives and the board of directors very early in your career. The work is highly recession-resistant because, let's face it, compliance demands are never going away. It's incredibly remote-friendly, and because you are learning the actual business side of security, it's widely considered the fastest, most direct pathway to becoming a CISO.
Section 6. The path forward. Starting your GRC journey. So, if you're intrigued, how do you actually step into this field? Well, there's a really clear, actionable roadmap. In your first 1 to 3 months, just focus on building a foundation. Get your CompTIA Security Plus certification and play around with compliance tools like Vanta. By months 3 to 12, start targeting entry-level roles. Think IT auditor or risk analyst, especially in highly regulated, high-demand sectors like healthcare or finance. Moving into years 1 and 2, you'll want to develop a specialization, maybe in SOC 2 or vendor risk, and grab some advanced certs. And by years 2 to 5, you're scaling your impact, translating risk into actual financial models, and actively positioning yourself for major leadership roles. Ultimately, GRC is exactly where hard cybersecurity meets business strategy and human judgment. It's an incredible niche. So, I want to leave you with one final question to evaluate your own potential in this field. Can you read a dense, 200-page technical framework, sit in a conference room with a highly skeptical engineer and a stressed-out executive, and explain exactly what it means in plain, simple English? If that sounds like a challenge you'd actually enjoy, well, you just might be the perfect cybersecurity translator. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.